Today's been a very interesting day, so right down to Brenda stepped in on her way in today because our original platform practitioner was sick. So, I mean, this has been going on. John Henry, God bless him, our photographer, just went out and got a disc because it wasn't loaded into the camera. I'm not Dale Allen Hoffman. Stephen is not Jayola. So I'm just standing here going, I hope I got my whole talk with me. All right, I got the whole talk. You're lucky. I think you're lucky. Anyway, so I love the universe. We got to get out of the way. We got to practice the things that we study, like letting go and letting God. And that's exactly, God orchestrated, the universe orchestrated this whole service today. So I'm so grateful. I mean, even flew Stephen in from Jamaica. I mean, I couldn't plan that. I couldn't plan it. So have you ever wondered what the holiday song, the most wonderful time of the year, means when it goes into this lyric? There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of glories of Christmases long, long ago. I'm sure you sit around and ponder that. What exactly are those scary Christmas stories? So the name of today's talk might give you a big hint. And the talk is, well, it says, Talk Your Christmas Carol. So last month we did Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and it looks like today we're going into the Christmas Carol, a Christmas Carol, a little bit. The scary ghost story then, perhaps you don't know for sure. I don't know this for sure, but I can say whatever I want, so I'm going to say it. Because I'm in front of the microphone, right? It might mean this. It might mean this. So today we are going to make our Christmas carol our very own, and as we look at the ghosts of our past, listen to this, this is good, and the ghosts of our future, and the ghosts of what can be. So we know that the ghosts of the past and the ghosts of the future can rob us of our holiday cheer, right? If we let them. And so more importantly, how not to let them. How to really stay present in the moment. And I'm certain that all of you are familiar with the story, A Christmas Story, having read the book and seen one or more of the versions that had been provided over the years. Here is a theatrical, or seen a theatrical, I've seen it in theaters. You know, at Christmas Story, we've seen it in theaters. So for those who haven't seen it recently then, a brief refresher. You ready for the story? Yes. Ebenezer Scrooge was a miserable fellow. He was miserly and mean, and devoid of any compassion, warmth, or humor. The Christmas season for him was a major inconvenience. You might know people who feel this way. I do. And a disruption of business filled with nothing but nonsense. As the story begins, it's Christmas Eve, and after being dreadful to everyone, especially his hard-working, underpaid, and underappreciated clerk, Bob Cratchit, he went home. And as he was warming himself alone by the fire, he hears haunting noises. And suddenly he is visited by the ghost of his dead partner, Jacob Marley. I almost said Bob Marley. And I say that for the people on video because we have a Bob Marley person here, Stephen Wise, who's doing Jamaican music for us. Anyway, mind you, Marley was just as miserable a fellow while he was alive. Scrooge as Scrooge is now. So they were both very miserable people. They made quite a pair. And so in this vision, Marley is limping along, dragging a heavy chain behind him. Marley tells Scrooge that he has come to him to warn him that it's time to change the miserly ways before it is too late. And Marley says that the chains that he now drags along were created by the choices he made while he was alive. Doesn't it feel sometimes like you're just dragging a heavy chain? Because that's what we do when we drag the past with us. When we drag all that stuff with us, it feels heavy. And we are always at choice, just as Marley is at choice and Scrooge is at Ebenezer. Scrooge is at choice. But he still can change. We all can. He still can change. And I didn't even know that Charles Dickens was a religious scientist. But this is what we say too. If you want to change the effects, you must come up with a new cause, a new way of thinking, a new way of showing up in life. And so the story goes, Scrooge is visited in his dreams by 3 ghosts. The ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to be. Anybody remember the story?
Yes.
In the context then of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, let us this morning take a look at your Christmas Carol, because we all have one, and see how the ghosts of Christmas past and Christmas yet to be can affect the Christmas present. So we start with the past. Ebenezer travels to the past. We learn that he had a lonely, unhappy childhood. We see that the one loving factor in him was the love he had for his sister. And that was removed when she died, giving birth to her son. We see that while he had some very good influences as a young adult, he also had some not good influences. And so we see how his love of money and how much that means to him, and even more than his love of people, even his wife, everybody, the money was more important. The ghost of Christmas past takes him to some pretty painful places in his past, and he begs not to see them, but he is taken there anyway. And we see how he evolved into the person that he is today. If we were to do a similar review of our past, I suspect that we too would visit some painful places. We're having this human experience, so there are happy places and painful places in the past. Maybe even in the future, but we're talking about the past right now, and in the future, in the present. But we're talking about the past right now, those chains that we could drag around with us. So if we were to have this similar review of our past, I suspect we too would visit some of those painful places that we would just as soon not visit. And we would see that we had some positive influences along the way, and some not so positive ones. And we would see how all of these influences and experiences combined have molded us into what we are today. We have so much, each and every one of us. So it's how we view the past, how we view it, and how we then retell a different story in our minds so that we can really evolve and take those past hurts and painfulness and turn them into love, turn them into enjoying life, because we're creating in this moment our future. But unlike Ebenezer, who was taken back to and went out of his past quickly sometimes, just sometimes, he got stuck there. So we don't want to be stuck. Or more accurately, we bring forward into our present lots and lots of stuff, pains and wounds, those memories from the past, which can affect us in the present. We talked about last week, just briefly, about how we really all need to forgive, which is why the Radical Forgiveness class is full. Because, really, and especially over the holidays, visiting those good old relatives and people like that that just stir up memories, or maybe you just had a wonderful, I don't know, but there's always something, and if not, forgiving ourselves. So my definition of forgiveness, then, is releasing the demand that anyone or anything be anything other than what it really was. Because it is what it is, right? One way you can tell if you've forgiven is when that person or event can walk through your mind unharmed. If they can do that, then you've basically you've come a long way with the forgiveness. Forgive others for their mistakes, yes. But often, it means forgiving ourselves. Mostly because we play these same old stories over and over again, and so we are self-abusing. We must come to peace with the past, and we can do that through forgiveness. Forgive others for their mistakes, but forgive ourselves. Much more important. Ernest Holmes, in Science of Mind, on page 290, wrote this. Suppose someone says, I have made a lot of mistakes in my life. I had opportunities that I did not grasp. Anyone feel that way?
Sure.
Sometimes I think about that. What was I thinking? But, we can't, you can visit it, but jump right back to the present. All of us have this feeling at some time in our lives. And this is a direct belief that there is one opportunity. We think that we blew all of our opportunities because they were so great and wonderful. But that's showing us how limiting our thought is. Because the universe is infinite in its potentiality of giving more and more opportunities. That's what our teaching says. So that's what we must expect and demand to see. More opportunities in our lives. So back to Ernest Holmes. All of us have had this feeling at some time in our lives. This is a direct belief that there is but one opportunity which comes to us, and if we do not take it, we will have no more. This is a belief in limited opportunities, and it must be denied, and completely, specifically. It is not that we have made no mistakes, this is Ernest Holmes, but in the belief in the necessity of mistakes stays in the consciousness, then there is bound to be a repetition. So when we keep our mistakes conscious, when they're always playing in our head, and I'm back to Holmes, it is scientific practice to declare that there has been no mistakes in our consciousness. There is that if there has been, they are now wiped out. There are none in the divine plan, and there is no plan for us other than the divine plan. He's a bit wordy, but get this. If we have had and apparently lost many opportunities, we must be shown that we stand at the point of limitless opportunity. That opportunity is right here today. That we see and grasp it. We recognize it, and it exists in limitless opportunities which are forever seeking expression through us. So that is such a great passage when we take it apart, which I'm not going to do, but I do particularly like this one passage. It is scientific practice to declare that there have been no mistakes in our consciousness. That If there have been, they are now wiped out. There are none in the divine plan, and there is no plan for us other than the divine plan. There is one plan for us, that divinity that indwells us, that leads us, that guides us, that provides us with the contrast of our human experience, because we're going to that place of pure essence, of pure one love, of that infinite, which is limitless in every single opportunity. Anything that we desire, we can manifest if we believe that we can. That's where the faith part comes in. That true faith of believing that all is possible. Whatever is in your past, whatever you have done, and you keep throwing in, and you keep throwing it back into your face, you need to know that the Spirit is present. The Spirit is present. I can't say that enough. The Spirit is present within us, always, and wants you to know that you are so loved and never judged. So there is no need, in divine mind, there is no need for forgiveness, because the divine sees nothing to forgive. It only sees perfection, because it has created each and every one of us individualized out of its own nature. So therefore, we are perfect, but our mind tells us otherwise. Forgiveness, though. Forgiveness is the key for us of releasing the grip of the ghost of Christmas past that is keeping us from experiencing the joy of the present moment. When we are stuck in that hell of our own thoughts that are not pleasing to us, we are not, well, remember, we are doing that. We are creating that in that present moment. So what are we doing for the future? We're creating more of the same. So patterns begin. And you see patterns in your life. Different people, different places, but patterns. Same feeling. Same feeling. So we move into the future then. And what about the grip that the ghost of Christmas yet to be has upon us? Because it can keep us very disconnected from the gift of the present. After viewing his future, which he didn't really care much for, Scrooge asked the ghost of Christmas yet to be a very important question. He said, "Please tell me, are these things I've seen shadows of things that must be, or shadows of things that might be?" Because isn't it true that if deeds are changed, conditions change? So if our thoughts change, if our consciousness changes, then the effects must change. It's the law of cause and effect. It is always working. New cause, different effect. Always. Always remember that. It's one of the most important things that we can ever be aware of. That when we change our thinking, truly, our thoughts, our emotions follow, and then the effects are different. They truly, really are. But faith is key right there. And of course, we all know the story, the future that Scrooge saw reflected in the shadow of things that might be, but did not be, because he changed. He changed in the present moment. We cannot control the future, but we can affect the future. There are many things that happen in life, and they just happen. We can affect, we can be aware of how we are thinking and how we are feeling, and that can change the entire effects of what the future will be. But we must do it now. It's always now. It's the eternal now. It's never yesterday. It's not tomorrow. So many people spend their lives saying words to the effect of, what am I going to do if? How many times have we done that? What am I going to do if the check ends? What am I going to do if I lose my job? What am I going to do if this relationship ends? Whatever it is. What am I going to do if I get sick? Well, quit saying if. Because if you stop saying it, it probably will never happen. It's what we are projecting into the future. You want to create a fabulous future? Ernest Holmes gives us. Do you want to create?
Yes.
Just checking because I'm up here. So Ernest Holmes gives us some great counsel in Science of Mind. And this is in his book on 246. This is what he says. We must not have fear for the future. And then he suggests we say to ourselves, I see that the future is bright with promise. It beckons me forward into a more complete realization of my own worth and my rightful place in the universe. All my tomorrows are happy and filled with harmonious occupations. I look to the future with great and pleasurable anticipation. He's so great. Knowing it expands my opportunity for radiant self-expression. And he continues, I love my past and my future and understand that they are continuations of the one unbroken chain of life. There is no future to be afraid of and no past to bring discord into the present. It's a matter of how we are thinking. Scrooge looks into the present and sees into the life of the Cratchit family. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Humble little family. A family that has almost nothing except for one thing.
Joy. Yes.
Love. One love, right?
Love.
The only thing that matters, the love. So remember, as you embark upon the next few days or weeks before Christmas, the only thing that really matters is that love, how you're feeling in your heart. That's the best present of all. I used to really be into my gifts. I mean, I liked good gifts. I would even go out and buy my gifts and give the person who gave it to me a receipt. I did. But now, it's all changed because I realize that I already have it. Yeah. The best present of all is the presence of the love of the divine that is within my heart. And it's not just on one day out of the year.
It's all the time.
It's all the time. Yeah. I unwrapped the present. I unwrapped it.
That's a good saying.
So remember as you embark upon the next few days that you have that within you too. It's there. So his wife then in the movie disagreed. She says, my dear, in her voice that I don't have right now, why don't we invite happiness? And their daughter, who was listening from the other corner of the house, she jumped in with her own suggestion. Would it not be better to invite love? Our home would be then filled with love. And if your home is filled with love, you don't need anything else. It's all there. So from this book, Love Without End by Glenda Green, she writes this: God is the source of all love. I am love. You are love as well. In that respect, we bear the same name. And as far as anyone fully becomes the love that he is, then there is a conscious oneness with God. And when you know this, when you really know that you are one with the infinite, the eternal, then you live in the presence of love. You know that right where you are, right now, is the best possible place to be. In fact, it's the only place that you actually can be. And it's always the now. And do what I call a mind check. What am I thinking in this now moment? The body will tell you. If there's anxiety or fear, you're going to feel it in your body. But if there is peace, and harmony within your body, you're going to feel that too. And that's what love is. That's part of love. Love is everything. It's joy. It's peace. It's everything. It's everything. Every place, every day, every moment, you are in your right place. Remember that. Even stuck in holiday traffic, or standing in the cash register line. You know, when someone has a problem in front of you, and there's 20 people now. So even there, this happened to me. I'm playing, you don't know what's going on up in this. Playing the whole story. But even there is love. Just
Yes.
be the love,
Yes.
right in those times and places,
Yeah.
right? Driving through Manhattan, I wasn't real godlike, but even then, I came right back to it. Just let my New York self out for a moment. Hold it right back. So anyway, there is no past or future in the eternal now, in the infinite mind that we are all part of. We came in, we leave, we are still a part of it all. Our personification of the divine is the truth of who we are, and that cannot die. So it's so reassuring to me to believe that, to really believe that. And now, right now in this moment, this is a holy time. It's always holy when we are aware, or when we are consciously aware. It's a sacred time. Time for divine work. And that work is on ourselves, which then affects everyone who we come in contact with. The omnipresence of God's love is everywhere, of course. So God is within you, radiating that love, living, moving, and expressing through you in all ways, in every way. God is the essence of your life. This divinity, this universal energy, whatever you want to call the presence, is always there. This has always been so, and it always will be. And once we know the truth and live the truth every minute of every day, once we can live in the present, really live in the present, letting go of the wounds of the past and trusting in the presence for a perfect future, our joy can be boundless. It really can be. We can be in that state of gratitude. We can truly feel the peace and love and the light of this holiday season, and of every season. But this season can bring up so much for people, some joy and some very painful. So I'm saying that the love of God, those who have passed before us, and those who have yet to come, that loving energy is always here in the present moment. There is no other moment, truly. Learn to do this. Learn to really be centered in that and pull yourself back when you forget, and you will find your Christmas carol. It'll be your Christmas carol, just as joyously as Ebenezer Scrooge's. He learned to do this. And every time of the year, every day, every moment of the year will be of good cheer, not just in this time frame, but every day. Be grateful for everything, all of the time. I don't care what, I'm grateful for this. Okay, I'm standing up here. You can hear me. I'm torturing you with my voice, but I'm so grateful that I can even get the words out. This is gratitude for everything. So grateful that all the changes that took place today, it all worked out because there is one power, one presence who is in charge of everything. So I'd like to end this talk with a spiritual mind treatment, which is affirmative prayer written by Ernest Holmes. So take this in. I am filled with wonderful peace and light. There is no uncertainty about my future, and no fear as a result of my past. I live in an eternal now, which is filled with good alone. Goodness and beauty follow me. Peace and joy accompany me. Happiness and wholeness fill my entire being with the realization of love and perfection. I am the Christ, the Son of the living God within me. This inner mind of mine is now divine and complete. It has no worries and no fears. It is whole, complete, and satisfied. I look back over all previous experiences and find that it was good, very good. I look toward the future and find it is good. It is very good. God is in all, over all, and through all. And knowing this to be the absolute truth, the very foundation of our teachings, these spiritual truths of oneness, real oneness, no separation, is the only truth there is. And so we move into it. We be the light. We be the peace. We be the love of the divine showing up. And as we do, we experience the greatest present of all. We experience the truth of our being. And so it is.